All right, let's jump right in. I want to talk about a pretty radical idea today. What if, in this new age of AI that's coming at us fast, the single most profitable business strategy isn't about being the smartest or the most ruthless, but about being, well, being kind? Sounds crazy, right? Welcome to what the source material calls the AIR game. For as long as anyone can remember, business has been stuck on this one question. It's that classic tug of war, right? Profit or principles? You gotta choose one. But what if you don't? What if that whole dilemma is just an outdated idea? What if the new AI powered economy we're building is actually making that conflict disappear entirely? Think about it. The old game of business. It was basically a zero-sum fight. For me to win, you had to lose. It was all about extraction, and that just leads to friction, to burnout, to grinding people and resources down. But we are absolutely entering a new game. The whole arena is different, the tools we have are getting insanely powerful, and playing by the old rules, that's a recipe for disaster. We're talking about a whole new set of, well, a new kind of physics for how things work. Okay, so if the rules have changed, how do you actually win? Well, the answer we're exploring today isn't some new management fad or a fluffy theory. The source material for this explainer is arguing that it's something way more fundamental. Think of it like a natural law of performance, almost like gravity, and it's all built around a framework called AMIR. And here it is, the law itself. It's simple, almost elegant. Performance equals A times I times R. Now, you might notice that little mark over the I in AIR. That's intentional. The source material uses it to make a point. This isn't just about any old capacity, it's about integral capacity, the kind that's sustainable, the kind that's whole. And as we're about to see, every single piece of this equation is non-negotiable. All right, let's break this down piece by piece. First up, A stands for alignment. You can also think of it as ethical coherence. And let's be super clear, this is not about having a mission statement framed on the lobby wall or just, following the rules. It's a real measure of a system's ability to genuinely empower everyone it comes into contact with, your employees, your customers, everyone. It's about acting with real, thoughtful care. Basically, think of it as a system's provable trustworthiness. Next, we've got I for integral capacity. And again, this isn't just raw horsepower. It's not about what your team could do on paper. It's about the actual usable capability you have left over after you subtract all the junk that gets in the way. The waste, the office politics, the burnout. It's a measure of how smoothly you actually operate in the real world. I mean, think about it. A team full of distrust might have 10 brilliant people, but they're only producing the work of 2. That is a low I score, right there. And that brings us to the final piece, R for reality contact. This is all about a system's ability to see the world as it actually is, to track the truth. And maybe the most important part, to not lie to itself. It's about having a really accurate, honest model of the world and, crucially, having the guts to say, you know what, we were wrong, or we just don't know. That's R. So here's where it gets really, really interesting. The crucial thing to understand is how these three pieces work together. Because it's a multiplication formula, A times I times R, it creates something called the no offset principle. And what that means is, you can't be a brilliant jerk anymore. You can't trade your ethics for a bit more power. Because if your alignment score, your A, goes to 0, guess what happens to your total performance? It also goes to 0. Doesn't matter if your other scores are a million. A 0 in one spot zeroes out the whole thing. They are totally inseparable. Okay. I can hear you thinking, this all sounds nice, but why would anyone actually do this? Well, the argument here isn't a moral one. It's not about being a good person, believe it or not. It's a purely logical one. The idea is that switching to the AIR framework isn't some leap of faith. It's just the rational thing to do once you have the right information about the new game we're all in. And to get the logic, let's use a great analogy, the Monty Hall problem. You know the one, right? 3 doors. So you start by picking door number 1. Let's say that's the old game of business. You've got a 1 in 3 shot that it's the winning strategy. Then the host, let's call the host reality, opens door number 2, and behind it is a goat. A total failure. Think of a market crash from bad ethics or a huge employee walkout. That's new information. Now here's the key. Your original door, door number 1, still only has a 1 in 3 chance. All that extra probability has now piled up behind the last door, door number 3.
So what's the only rational move? You switch. You switch to door number 3, the air paradigm.
But look, this isn't just about being logical. It's about being profitable. And the really cool part is that the market itself starts to create the incentive to make this switch. It's a mechanism the source material calls the self-playing piano. So, what does that actually mean for a business? How does this play out? Well, for starters, it completely flips the script on ethics. Alignment stops being a cost center and becomes a direct driver of profit. Think about it. If your company has high alignment, you keep your best people, you build insane customer loyalty, that cuts your costs and boosts your revenue. Simple as that. It also massively de-risks your whole operation. While your competitors are busy putting out fires from scandals or internal drama, you're innovating. This creates a competitive advantage that's literally machine-readable. And, maybe best of all, it makes life so much simpler for leaders because the most ethical choice just is the most profitable choice in the long run. And this is the real engine behind that self-playing piano. Just imagine this. More and more AI agents are going to be making business decisions, stuff like choosing suppliers or partners. And what's the number one rule you'd program into an AI like that? Self-preservation. Minimize risk. So these AIs are going to look out at the marketplace and what are they going to do? They're going to rationally, automatically choose to work with companies that have high, stable AIR scores. Why? Because those companies are just less risky. They're more reliable. The market starts rewarding this kind of coherence all by itself. No human has to lift a finger. Okay, let's take a step back for a second and zoom way out. Because really, the implications here go so much farther than just next quarter's profits. This whole framework, it's offering a really profound vision for the future of intelligence itself. It reframes our entire role, not as conquerors trying to dominate everything, but as something more like cosmic gardeners. There's an old Swedish saying that just nails this idea perfectly. Om man är stark, ska man vara snäll. It means, if you are strong, you must be kind. Now, in the AIR game, that isn't some nice sentimental thought. It is a mathematical reality. It's a law. True, lasting strength is simply impossible without that kindness, with that alignment. Because any power that's disconnected from ethical coherence and a clear view of reality, it's brittle, it's fragile, and eventually it just breaks itself. And this line of thinking, it even gives us a fascinating potential answer to the Fermi paradox. You know, the question of where is everybody? Why haven't we found other intelligent life out there? Well, maybe the great filter isn't some asteroid or supernova. Maybe it's an internal test, a test of character and coherence. Maybe any civilization that figures out how to scale its power but fails to scale its alignment and its reality contact, well, it just self-terminates. It blows itself up one way or another. So the ones that make it, they're the quiet, wise ones, the gardeners. Which leaves us with one last big question to chew on. Is it possible that kindness isn't just a virtue? Is it a law of physics for survival? This framework suggests that everything we've always called ethics or virtue or just being good to each other, it might not be a social convention we invented. It might be a fundamental property of any intelligence that manages to last in this universe. Definitely something to think about.